All right, today we're going to dive deep into the world of SOC 2 compliance. We're going to look at two totally different ways to handle it. You've got the old way, things spreadsheets, screenshots, and just last-minute scrambles. And then you've got the new way, an engineered approach that uses automation, real-time data, and dashboards. The difference between these two worlds? It's honestly shocking. Let's get into it.
So picture this. It's audit day. This one slide really shows the two realities you could be living in. Are you in that world of stress, just scrambling through documents, hoping, praying the auditor doesn't ask that one tough question? Or are you in a world of calm, pulling up a live dashboard that just has all the answers right there? This is really the core conflict we're exploring today: reactive chaos versus proactive control.
Now, to make this all feel a bit more real, we're going to focus on one specific and really crucial SOC2 control, C6.1. So what does all that jargon actually mean? Well, in simple terms, it's all about proving that only the right people can access your systems. For any software company out there, this is totally non-negotiable. It's about building trust by showing you've got a solid lock on all your digital doors.
Okay, so let's step into our first world, the old school manual approach. This is how so many companies have been doing it for years, and you know what? It's a perfect recipe for headaches and some seriously long hours. Welcome to the world of the manual scramble.
So the scramble begins. First thing you got to do is collect evidence. Your first stop is probably your identity provider, something like Okta. You log into the admin console, you export this massive list of all your users, all their group memberships, and you download it as a CSV file. And there you have it, your first piece of evidence, a completely static snapshot in time.
But you're not done. Next up, you head over to GitHub. Now you've got to manually check who has that powerful write access to your most important production repositories. And how do you prove it? Well, you take screenshots, lots of them. Then you paste these images into a Word doc, carefully labeling everything. You can already feel how fragile this whole process is, right?
And it doesn't even stop there. What about direct server access? Now you're depending on other people. You have to fire off an email to the DevOps team, asking them to pretty please, manually run a command and send you a list of who has SSH access to the production servers. And then, you guessed it, you paste their response right into that same ever-growing Word document.
And this is where it all comes to a head. During the audit, the auditor asks a simple, direct question. Can you prove to me that John's access was reviewed in the last year? And you just start to sweat. You're racking your brain, searching your emails, your documents, but you can't find a clear log. And the auditor's response is the one thing you dread hearing. That's a finding.
So let's just be really clear about this. This manual approach is fundamentally broken. It's not continuous, it's just a snapshot in time. The knowledge is fragile, it all lives in one person's head, it's so prone to human error, it makes audit responses painfully slow, and it absolutely positively does not scale. Okay, let's leave that stressful world behind us and pivot to a much better way. This is world 2, where we apply an engineering mindset to this whole problem. We call this GRC Engineering. Instead of just collecting documents, we're going to build a system that does the work for us, continuously and automatically. This slide lays out the architecture of this new system, and it's actually a really clear 4-step process. First, you connect directly to the APIs of your key systems. Think Okta, GitHub, AWS. Second, you write some simple scripts, we call them collectors, that run every single night to pull the data automatically. Third, you store all that evidence in a secure database like Amazon S3. And finally, you visualize it all on a simple dashboard. And this is where the magic really happens. That dashboard isn't static. It refreshes automatically every few hours. So if a problem pops up, let's say a new user gets created without multi-factor authentication, you don't find out 3 months later. No, you see it on the dashboard almost immediately. This is a huge cultural shift. Compliance stops being a reactive chore and becomes a proactive, real-time security function.
So what does this new system actually mean when the auditor comes knocking? Let's replay that whole audit scenario, but this time, we're in our new engineered world. The experience, well, it couldn't be more different. The auditor asks the same tough questions, but this time you just pull up the dashboard. They ask about data tampering, and you just explain that all the evidence is stored in S3 with object lock, which means it literally can't be changed or deleted. They ask how often it's audited, and you tell them nightly. The conversation ends not with a finding, but with the auditor nodding and saying, "That's a strong control." This, right here, is the goal.
So, a better audit is awesome, but there is another massive payoff here. This isn't just about reducing your stress levels, it's about saving a significant amount of time and money. So let's actually look at the hard numbers.
Just look at this comparison. With the manual approach, you're looking at around 260 hours per year when you combine all the ongoing work and the audit prep. With the engineered approach, after you build it the first time, that drops to just 25 hours a year for maintenance. That's more than a 90% reduction in time spent. Just think about that.
Now let's translate that time into actual money. Using a pretty standard engineering salary, that 260 hours of manual work cost your company about $20,000 a year. And the 25 hours of maintenance on the automated system? A mere $2,000. The visual here, it tells the entire story. It's not even close.
And that brings us to the bottom line. For this one single control, CC 6.1, you are saving $18,000 every single year starting in year 2. Now imagine scaling this out. What if you engineer just 15 of your SOC2 controls? You could be saving your company over $250,000 annually.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but how do I actually start? The good news is you don't have to boil the ocean. You can start small with just one control and build from there. Let's walk through the plan.
Here it is, a clear, actionable 6-step plan. You start by picking just one control, something like CC 6.1. Then you identify where your data lives, you write those Python collectors to pull the data, and you set up a database like S3 to store it. From there, you build a really basic dashboard and then integrate the whole thing into your audit process. It's a methodical path to get your first big win.
So what this all comes down to is a fundamental shift in your mindset. This is GRC Engineering. You stop being a manager of documents and you become a builder of systems. Systems that enforce and prove compliance all on their own. So the question I'm going to leave you with is this. When you look at your own world of compliance, what's the very first control you're going to engineer?